Summertime. Nothing to me says more summer than 4th of July. Hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July. And then, of course, if you're not in the States, hope you just had a nice day, you know. Most countries do celebrate an independence of some sort. For me, a lot of people here in the States get all jazzed about Cinco de Mayo. I'm a big believer in 16 de Septiembre, which is, I believe, Mexico's independence from Spain, whereas Cinco de Mayo was from France, I think. I'll have to fact check all that. But either way, everyone, you know, talks about Cinco de Mayo, but I believe that 16 de Septiembre, the 15th of September, is actually a bigger celebration in Mexico. Just, there you go. So, I hope you're liberated. I hope you're free, wherever you're at. Anyways, got to spend 4th of July with my in-laws, had some cool fireworks. For a small town, they put on a decent fireworks display, so that's very cool. Okay, let's talk about the shave. This is number 2 in my summer Stirling Soap series, and Vanilla Sandalwood is the sample soap that I'm using for today. You may recall it's in this little like plasticky tub, just like Boat Drinks was, and just like the 2 others that I'll feature in 2 more videos in the coming weeks. This is just it. When it comes, when you get the sample, it looks like a cookie. Basically, it's a little thin puck, and I like to cut that puck up into little like kind of pre-measured pieces, if you will, and then that works perfectly by pushing that down into the bottom of a bowl and then lathering. So that's what I do, and that's why it's in this little container. The scent on this, it's pretty straightforward. Vanilla Sandalwood. It's sweet. It kind of smells like a sugar cookie, maybe. The sandalwood, I think, is kind of overpowered by the vanilla. I kind of just smell vanilla, but I like it. It's a good, here it is the middle of July. It's hot. I'm actually about to go mow the yard here in a bit. But to me, this is more of maybe like a winter time scent. But hey, you can use whatever you want. Any point of the year, just do what you want. Do what makes you happy. I've got the matching aftershave to go along with that. Cool little sample here of that. These are great for travel. If you've got travel plans, how easy, like this is a big container. It could actually go in a smaller container. And then obviously this little aftershave sample here. How easy would it be to throw these in a bag and then travel with these, right? So for the razor I'm using today, I hadn't shaved in a couple days. You can see that I've got quite a bit of growth here. So why not use an adjustable? So I'm actually using this Futur knockoff that I have. It's not necessarily the Mingxi, but they're all the same. It's a Chinese knockoff. And I've discussed this before. A lot of people go aggressive and then mild. I go mild and aggressive. So I'm gonna dial it down to like a 2.5. And then for the second pass, I'll crank it up to like a 4.5 or a 5. Yeah, when I have a lot of growth, it tends to kind of like hurt. I know that sounds weak, but it irritates me when I use an aggressive setting or an aggressive razor or whatever for that first pass. I like a mild where it just kind of gets a little bit of the hair, and then I dial it up for the second pass. So I'll be doing that. The blade I'm using is a rainbow. Don't see a lot of videos on the rainbow blade. I like it actually. I think it's in the Lord family because it says on the blade that it's made in Egypt. And so, yeah, I don't know. I actually bought 100 of them. It was super cheap. It was like $6.99 for 100 blades. And I get some really good shaves with the rainbow blade, which is, you don't see a lot of. And then as far as like the lather, the bowl and the brush. So if you remember in my previous videos, I've been using this DS Cosmetic yellow bowl. Well, now I've got a teal bowl to match it. I like that bowl. so much that I plopped down 10 whole dollar bucks to buy another bowl, and this one is in teal. It's just as good as my timeless bowl. I've said that. So honestly, I feel like I'm pretty much set. I've tried a few other bowls out there. I've got a ceramic one that's so-so. I wasn't super impressed with the 3D printed one that I bought recently, and then the Yaki bowl is also just kind of so-so. So the timeless bowl and this DS Cosmetic Pereira knockoff, those are, in my opinion, the best lather bowls on the market. And then finally, this brush I'm using is an Omega boar brush, pretty new. I actually got it free as a gift from West Coast Shaving. I placed an order with West Coast Shaving last month, and they just threw in this brush, and it literally just said, here, thanks for being a loyal customer. I've made several orders through West Coast Shaving, and they just hooked me up with a brush, so that's nice. Pretty cheap Omega brush, but still I have a lot of Omega brushes, and this is technically my third boar brush, because I've got a boar brush Omega, and I've got a mixed badger and boar Omega, and the rest are synthetic. I have a lot of synthetic Omega brushes. They're cheap. I like them. They work. And if you lose one or break one or something, it's not the end of the world. So there you go. That's everything that I'm using. Let's go ahead and go down to the lather process. So there's the soap already pressed down in the bowl. Added a little bit of water to kind of start softening it up. That's hard to say. Softening it up. When I was in college, I minored in horticulture and photosynthesis. That's a word that I had to use a lot and I often struggled with. So if I just slow it down, photosynthesis, softening. Anywho, so yeah, there's the soap already pressed down in the bowl and some water on top. Let's start the lather. And I'm hoping that, yeah, this stronger scented soap will take down the last little bit of that funk off of the brush. It's not bad, but it's noticeable. And that's why I basically just avoided actually using the brush for a shave for about 5 times. And I do anticipate still smelling just a tiny bit of that funk for maybe like 5 more shaves. Add a tiny bit of water here. In the grand scheme of things, 5, 10, even 15 shaves with that smell. Is that really that bad? I anticipate having this brush for probably 10 years. All right. That was easy. Very fast. Fast lather there. Let's do it. Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, great performance, not only from the soap, but from this bowl, from this brush. Love it, love it. And yeah, this is going to be nice. What I'm actually going to do today is I'm going to do some pre-shave. I'll just grab it here. So this is an unscented, it looks like a big block of alum, right? No, it's an unscented, just glycerin-based soap, bar of soap. I think I've used this in other videos, but I'm essentially using it like the PAA cube. Just gonna rub it on and leave it, and then lather on top of it. It's unscented, so it's not gonna affect my soap that I'm using, and it's going to give me that described as uber lather when you add another soap to the mix. Actually, before I started shooting the video, actually like did a face wash using this soap, but I washed it all off. This will go on and stay. Chugging right along now through July. Hope everybody is staying safe and staying cool. Earlier when I was talking about the 4th of July, I saw a funny thing on social media, like a tweet or something, and it said, a lot of Americans don't realize this, but this is going to be their last weekend without all 10 fingers. So hopefully if you used fireworks over the Independence Day weekend, you kept all your digits. They can be dangerous. I'm honestly not really smelling this brush. Not smelling any funk. I believe 5 was the amount of times that I washed it and just basically kind of hand lathered just to kind of give it 5 uses to work on that scent. And another thing I read years ago, I actually used a soap and it looked like this, and then I left it like this overnight, like so that like the scent from whatever soap absorbs into it and kind of overpowers that stink. Okay, perfect. Just a little bit. I smell a little bit of that boar brush, but not bad. Let's go ahead and load up this blade. Let me dial it down to 2.5. I don't know if this is either my second or third video with this brush. I know the first one razor rather. The first one I did with this razor, I called it El Cheapo Shave, and I used Williams soap and this and a really cheap Omega synthetic brush, and called it El Cheapo Shave because this razor was only like $10. But for $10, I get some really good shaves out of it. No joke. So I mentioned in my last video that I'd be attending a bluegrass music festival. I did, and it was a blast. Here's a couple of shots from that festival, music festival. My whole family came out. We had a blast. The girls enjoyed seeing. There's a band that they actually like, a kid bluegrass band called the Okie Dokie Brothers. My oldest daughter, she acted kind of weird whenever she saw them. I think it was kind of surreal for her to have heard these musicians for years, actually, and then to see them live and in person. I think it was kind of overwhelming for her. The band I was most excited to see is called Old Crow, Old Crow Medicine Show.
Now she's gone, and I'm to blame today. I finally see what's made me want to be painless has made her lose her out of me.
All of their music kind of sounds like Prohibition era, and most of them are about drugs and alcohol. Did y'all hear that? There was that weird click again. So I know definitely in the last video I did, there was a weird click. And it's just that this top that clicks in didn't quite settle. And then it did. It doesn't really affect the shave, but I did hear kind of a weird click. And I know that's the case with the last video. I don't recall hearing that click every time that I shave with this razor, but obviously occasionally. Yeah, Old Crow Medicine Show. So all their songs are about drugs and alcohol and stuff, and it's supposed to kind of be reminiscent of Prohibition era. Okay, so it's on a 2.5. I'm gonna dial it up to go 4.5 out of 6. I'm a weenie. I'm afraid to go too high. No, I just don't need it. I don't need it to be straight up blade. Anyone else have big plans for the summer? You know, I mentioned, I think it was my last video, I mentioned that later this summer we got a family vacation coming up. When I was a kid, man, we used to take some cool vacations. Summer vacations. We obviously went to Disney World once when I was a little. That was actually spring break, I think. But amusement parks. And one year we went to Niagara Falls. One year we went to Yellowstone National Park. Have y'all seen the video of that dude getting gored? Like, don't mess with buffalo, man. I remember seeing buffalo up close in person when I was in Yellowstone, and gosh, you don't want to mess with them, that's for sure. But yeah, just recently a guy, like, he was actually trying to like protect a kid, but either way, just don't get close to buffalo. Or any wildlife that's truly wild. It's going to end up bad for you, and it's also kind of disrespectful to the animal. Going back to that music festival, that was actually my like fourth time, I think, third or fourth time at that particular festival. It's called Blue Ox, like as in Paul Bunyan, Babe, his Blue Ox, and that was my wife's first time. I didn't know how much she'd like it. I didn't know if music festivals were her thing. Because here's the thing about music festivals, not all of them, but at least folk and Americana and bluegrass festivals, they tend to draw kind of a weird crowd, which I'm cool with. I'm perfectly cool with it. I'm a weirdo. I fit right in. Lots of like kind of hippies and counterculture people, which she thought they were great because everyone was in a good mood. No one was fighting or arguing or acting a fool. Honestly, my wife had a blast. And she's already ready to go back next year. So that's cool. I camped a couple of nights with some friends of ours. Which is nice. You can, the music goes until the wee hours. My wife didn't camp. She brought the girls home and called it a night, but I stayed. Stayed up late and partied and camped and got up and did it again the next day. I gotta tell you, man, this little $10 or $11 razor, it shaves just as good, if not better, than some of my $40 and $50 razors. It does. I'm going to hit these two spots right here, and then we'll call it done. Although that soap is dark, it lathers completely white, as you can see. And I've heard that like the vanilla in some soaps, when it oxidizes, actually will like affect a natural hair brush. I'll see if that's true. I don't know. The brush I just used is a boar brush. I'll see if it changes its color. But I didn't see a warning on this particular soap, but on some soaps I've seen a warning. And it's basically like, if you use this with a natural hair brush, it might stain it. So we'll see if that's the case. Okay. Man, my youngest daughter has started answering every question with yep and nope. And then when she does, she doesn't really look at you when she says it. So I'll say, do you want mac and cheese for dinner? And she'll go, nope. And then I'll go, do you want chicken nuggets? And she'll go, nope. And then I'll go, do you want pizza? And she'll go, yep. It's funny. All right. Feels good. Feels good to shave. I was getting kind of hairy there. I had a weird schedule last week and I went like 4 days without shaving. My hair grows fast. My beard. There's like an episode of Simpsons where Homer, if you notice, always has 5 o'clock shadow, and he puts the shaving cream, I think he just does it with his hands out of a can, and he shaves, and then he looks weird because he has no 5 o'clock shadow. He's all yellow, and all of a sudden it goes, and his 5 o'clock shadow comes right back within seconds. It's so funny. Anyways, let me use this teeny tiny aftershave splash. This, I'm definitely getting the vanilla. It smells like a Yankee Candle up in here. Little bit of sting from the alcohol. But gosh, Stirling Soap, man, they do it right. All of their soaps and aftershaves are, they're kick-ass. That's what they are, kick-ass. Anyways. Okay, folks, thanks for joining me on this vanilla E shave. And I hope everyone has a great week and stay cool. It's hot. My folks live in Texas and every day it's like 120 degrees down there. No joke. Well, it's like a little over 100. So if you're in a really hot location, try to stay cool and Godspeed. See you soon.